This is VOA News. I'm Alexis Stroke. The death toll continues to rise after the devastating earthquake in Morocco, with 2,012 people dead and 2,059 injured. The earthquake toppled buildings in mountainous villages and ancient cities not built to withstand such force. Rescuers struggled Saturday to get through boulder-strewn roads to remote areas hit hardest. State television showed people clustered in the streets of Marrakesh late at night, afraid to go back inside buildings that might still be unstable. Tens of thousands of Israeli protested in cities across the country on Saturday ahead of a key decision by the Supreme Court over legislation passed by the coalition, which stripped the court of some of its oversight powers.
This is the 36th week in a row that we're demonstrating against Netanyahu's attempt to make a coup in Israel and make it a dictatorship.
Earlier this year, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's far-right coalition presented plans to strip the court of much of its powers with a package of legislation, but due to overwhelming public pressure, passed only one part of the plan. Proponents say the judicial overhaul plans would restore balance to the branches of authority, but critics say it removes vital checks on government powers. Residents and authorities in a town in Somalia say an airstrike has caused several casualties that include children, while 3 members of an al-Qaeda-linked extremist group were killed. The U.S. military says, unfortunately, civilians were injured and killed in the vicinity of a military operation by Somali forces on Wednesday. The U.S. says it evacuated injured civilians at the Somali government's request, but says American forces had not conducted airstrikes or been at the scene of the operation. The U.S. didn't respond to questions. It has acknowledged killing civilians in the past in Somalia. For pictures, videos, stories, and more, follow The Voice of America on X, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. This is VOA News. Opposition to abortion by the U.S. Republican Party is threatening a global HIV/AIDS program that officials say has saved 25 million lives. AP correspondent Julie Walker reports.
2 decades ago, the U.S. government created PEPFAR, the president's emergency plan for AIDS relief. It's now under threat by a few Republicans in Congress following allegations that PEPFAR partners might have links to abortion services. In some countries, a generation has grown up without fearing HIV as a death sentence, thanks to a steady supply of drugs from PEPFAR, says Paul Malongo, the program manager at a children's home in Kenya.
Actually, it would be like a global genocide if that happens. Because, like, for example, in our government, in our country, we depend entirely on PEPFAR.
He says not just Kenya, but all of Africa. I'm Julie Walker.
The White House is hailing this year's G20 summit as a success, saying the final communique contains, quote, consequential paragraphs on the war in Ukraine. Even though China and Russia's leaders skipped the gathering in India's capital, American officials say members managed to reach consensus on a range of issues. VOA's Anita Powell reports from New Delhi.
Unity was what G20 leaders sought at this year's summit, and it's what they say they got, with language that called for a comprehensive, just, and durable peace in Ukraine, but that stopped short of naming Russia as the aggressor. The group also agreed that the use of nuclear weapons is inadmissible. Professor John Curtin heads the G20 research group at the University of Toronto and spoke to VOA from the sidelines of the summit.
By removing the words Russia and the word aggression, they gave Mr. Putin a face-saving gesture, and we'll now wait and see if he then reciprocates by doing what all G20 members except him agree to, and that's getting out of all of Ukraine.
Anita Powell, VOA News, New Delhi.
Thousands of people marched through the Serbian capital on Saturday in a colorful protest to draw attention to the need to improve LGBTQ+ rights in the Balkan country. Under the slogan, "We are not even close," marchers walked through the city with their route taking them by Serbian government buildings and the country's parliament. Homosexuality is legal in Serbia, but same-sex marriages are not allowed, and activists say the LGBTQ+ community face hostility and discrimination.
I'm heartbroken that is the case, and that I hope that opinions, change for the better and the positive for the Serbian LGBTQIA community, and that we just all can embrace and support, equity and inclusion.
Past gay pride parades have attracted opposition from nationalists and religious conservatives and have been marred by violence, but Saturday's march was peaceful with up to 15,000 people joining.
Thank you for watching. Can you do me a favor? Please leave a comment in the comments section below. That would really help. Thank you, and see you again soon.